Hello everyone and welcome to the latest instalment of our Mac Sport My Motivation campaign. I'm delighted to be joined by Ireland and I should say former Ireland and former Leinster and now London Irish rugby player Sean O'Brien. Sean, how are you?
Hi Marie, how are you?
Getting close to the bone there very early.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And I haven't fully retired from Ireland yet, by the way.
oh, have you got news for us? Are you coming back or will the rules change?
I've no news. The rules haven't changed yet, but I never say never.
So what you're saying is that you are fully fit and flying it and the world is your oyster and anything could happen over the next few years.
100%. That's exactly it.
So what's the lie of the land with you now? Like, where are you? We're in the middle, well, lockdown is starting to ease a little bit, but sport is still so up in the air, both here and over in London where your team are. So what's the story with your situation right now?
Yeah, well, I suppose it's very similar to the rest of the world. We're very unclear of what's happening at this stage still. We've been in contact with the club obviously a fair bit and had a few Zoom meetings, etc. But they still don't know, what the story will be within the next coming weeks and when we might get back to some sort of small group training, etc. And so we've kind of just sit tight and be patient and keep doing our own programs that we have that they've sent to us and stay on top of things. And that's really it at the minute. So I'm back home in Tullow at the minute. So I've been farmed the last few weeks and I've been kept very busy with that. So I was in Mayo for 7 weeks nearly and got home then as things were getting a bit more difficult down here and a bit of pressure on at home and stuff. So came down and nearly have all the cows calved now at this stage and started a little extension on a little cottage beside the farm as well. So I'm getting lots of work done anyway, that's for sure.
So sitting tight and being patient is going really well for you, yeah?
Yeah, it's going really well for me. I've been up at 7:30 every morning and not finished until about 9:30, 10 at night. So, and then trying to fit in a few training sessions around that as well. So it's at least it's something to do. I think I was just sitting. I was actually in the tractor the other day, and I was thinking how lucky we kind of are as to be able to do what we're doing, farmers, and being out. I suppose you're on your own the majority of the time, or maybe someone with you, and it's a nice way to get a release, and you're busy, and the days go by quickly, and it is a nice lifestyle at the end of the day too. Might be a lot of work, but it's nice this time of year when the weather's good.
To be fair, you do enjoy the work, so you are quite suited to it.
Yeah. No, I do enjoy the work. I've realised that now since I've come back home, that it still makes me happy and keeps the mind right.
So just from a training perspective then, like, a lot of people over the last few weeks have been saying that the break is kind of doing them good and that they are kind of getting the body right and working on things that they didn't have a chance to work on before because they were kind of up to 90 preparing for their next match or their next fight or whatever was coming up next. Would you be one of those people whose the break has kind of suited them?
Yeah, it probably has. I think it came at a really bad time for me, obviously, because I'd only played one game. But looking back now in the last 8-9 weeks, it's been brilliant for my body in terms of I don't think I've ever been as fit as I am right now. I done some running tests and stuff 2 weeks ago and hadn't had scores like it since probably 2017. So it's given me a big opportunity to get a lot of work through the body and get myself in a really, really good place if things do kick off quickly. And I think that's for all athletes. You can look at it both ways. It's an opportunity to get yourself in the best shape of your life ever, or you can go the opposite way and sit in your arse all day and not do much. So I'm definitely not going to do that anyway. And I want to be able to hit the ground running and kind of embrace this time as best I can with my training.
So these scores that you've been hitting, they'll probably just be numbers to me, but is there anything that you're particularly proud of that anyone who's watching this, who is a fan of the training, the type of training that you'd be doing, that would impress them?
I I don't know. I done a Bronco test, which is quite a tough test. It's out 20 meters back, out 40 meters back, out 60 meters back 5 times continuous for time. And my best, I think, was 4:37. I could be corrected on that now by one of the S&C staff, but I got 4:30 a few weeks ago. So to knock that length of time off it after, I think the last time I done it was 2017. I think leading into that actually Lions tour. So it was to get that much time off it. I was delighted with that. But I had done 5.5, kind of 6 weeks of hard training and work, and been minding myself really well. So, you know, the hard work paid off, and I was pretty happy now, to be honest with you, when I did do that test.
You look very happy with yourself anyway. So what about the small things like nutrition? So in a time like this, when we do have a little bit of extra time on our hands, I know you're keeping busy, but like there is a lot of temptation for people if they're sitting down in the evenings, and a lot of people have been saying that they're struggling with the discipline when it comes to their nutrition. How have you been coping?
Yeah, I've been pretty good. I suppose the whole thing is, I've had this conversation, actually, it frustrates me a little bit with my family at home, because you know, they wouldn't be, not that they wouldn't be minding themselves, but they could be minding themselves a lot better. And I've said to my younger sister there, just start batch cooking for everyone, because it just stops people picking during the day. And I said, even if you want to batch cook healthy treats, at least you know that you're putting in some goodness into your body. And you know, it's just being organised. I've been lucky enough, because I can cook away here during the day. I can cook the night before and have it ready for the next day for lunch when I come back in from the farm, etc. And I actually got a few. There was actually Philly McMahon's, I think, is involved in a company called Nutri Quick, which he sent me down a few of those as well. And they're quite tasty and handy for snacks and lunches. So between Daniel's book and that, now I've been staying on top of it. And the other thing is as well, if I am rushing or on the go, I suppose what I get in terms of a sandwich or whatever else, it might be just something small that I'm not having, like a load of sauce or mayonnaise or anything. It's just small little things, but they do make a difference. And in fairness, you're working so much and you're burning so much during the day. Well, I am at the minute anyway. That you know what I mean. You can only stay in good condition, really, like. And then on train on top of that. Then, so today, for instance, now I had to eat kind of a double breakfast, because I knew I'd be working until about half an hour ago, and I have to go back now after this is done, and I'll have my evening meal, and then I've a run this evening with one of the lads. So I'll have to get grub into me now after this again and get fueled up for that for later. So you're kind of thinking ahead and planning ahead, but it's just being organised, I think. And the other thing that this time of year and this situation is that you know, everyone can go for a walk, everyone can be active, and it's just about getting up and doing it. And I think writing stuff down is very good. Just writing it down on a piece of paper, saying, this is my day tomorrow, I'm getting up at 7:30, I'm going to do 5,000 steps, I go on then to work, or I do a gym session and have my breakfast. Write down what you're having as well, and it gives a bit of structure to your day. And one of the lads is living in the house here with me at home in Tullow, in my house, is he's flying now the last few weeks since I came back. We gave him a bit of a kick in the arse, and out every morning with me. We go to, there's a little hill beside us here, go to the top of the hill and back, and he has his 3,000 or 4,000 steps done before breakfast, and does a gym session, and he's really enjoying it as well. And you can just see the difference it makes in 2 weeks to him even, like. So little bit of structure in your life, and get up and go, and stop putting it off, and stop making excuses.
I have to say, I can't think of anything worse than being in quarantine or self-isolating with a professional athlete. It's tough going.
Yeah, he's enjoying it though. He's enjoying it. I'm not a tough coach on him or anything. So
Sure.
it's up to them whether they want to do it or not.
You're the type of person, Sean, it seems anyway, that you don't really need anyone else to motivate you. You're quite self-driven, and like through the injuries and everything, what you achieved has been pretty phenomenal in terms of your comebacks and even the time frames that you were able to return, and that's a testament to the work that you put in. But for anyone that's struggling a little bit with that motivation, what advice would you have for them?
I think you just have to have kind of a goal in mind. You know, I've had a lot of messages actually recently about people just exactly what you've just said, that are lacking a bit of motivation to get up and moving and to train hard at the minute. And for me, it's I suppose for us as professionals, you kind of say, well, we could be back next week, for instance. And if we're back next week, I don't want to be taking 3, 4, 5 weeks to get up to speed. As I said at the start of this, I want to kind of hit the ground running. And I think as professionals, that's our job. But as someone, I suppose, who's a footballer or just a club player, whatever it may be, is to write down what you want to get out of this time and take it in week blocks if you want, or take it in day blocks, and set yourself small little goals, but have something big at the back of your mind. And whether it be this year that they get to play in a club championship game, or whatever it may be, like whatever their ultimate goal is, or next year, at least they're on that path to get there. And that's the way I always break down things when I'm lacking a little bit of motivation. And you know, after I'd done the 5 or 6 hard weeks there, I took 1 week off of training as well, just to refresh and look forward, I suppose, getting back training again. So it's good to take that kind of a download week and come back and hit the ground running then again, and push on again to something new and something different. So it's, you know, it's a tough time for people because they have a lot of time to think as well, and sometimes you overthink things. So that's why I like the idea of writing down a bit of stuff and sticking to it, then saying this is going to be my day tomorrow, and go out and do it to the best of your ability. Exactly what you've said.
So it is important for people to have goals, and like the situation that we're in now, people will be resetting goals and changing what their plans and dreams and hopes are. What are your goals now for the future?
My goal is to get back playing rugby as soon as I can. I've only played 48 minutes in the last year and a bit. So, you know, as I said, this couldn't have come at a worse time for me. But it's going to be better now. It's going to be better for me and better for my rugby that I've gotten this break, because I am in such a good place fitness-wise. So, that's my goal, is to get back playing consistent rugby and to help London Irish get to a really good place in the Premiership if we get back going this season. And if that doesn't happen, like we said earlier, if they make a decision and can the season or whatever it may be, well then you have to reassess again, pull it right back to little mini goals for the next couple of months. And when we resume pre-season for the following year or whatever it may be, that we just go again. And you have to have that little, I suppose, burning desire in the back of your head to, you know, to have that ultimate goal, as I spoke about already. That thing, that seed in the back of your head that you want to get to, and you just have to find that, whatever that is, then, and nothing should stop you then getting to it.
I know you kind of need a crystal ball really to try and figure out what's going to happen with contact sport in the future. We're seeing football coming back. We don't know what's going to happen really with GAA, with boxing, with a lot of the contact sports, and rugby is one that seems to be in a particularly challenging situation because there is so much contact in the game. What do you think is going to happen, Sean?
We might end up playing tag rugby. Yeah, it is a bit of a crystal ball question, Marie, to be honest. You know, obviously there's a lot of contact in rugby. Obviously we're on top of each other. We're in each other's faces, you know, close proximity at all times. And I do know from certain lads in the Premiership and talking to a few other people, like they have parents and stuff living with them, you know, big families. So like all that has to be taken into account when we go back into this rugby environment. Obviously we all want to get back playing rugby. We want to get back playing rugby in a safe and manageable way for us all. So it's a difficult one. I think it will be the last thing to go back, for sure, in terms of maybe not training, but definitely playing games. And there was suggestions that we'd be put into, or maybe we could be put into isolation together, for instance, just the players. But obviously that wouldn't sit well with some lads with families, wives, kids, etc., for a period of time to try and finish out the season. But I suppose everything's a possibility at the minute and an option, but yeah, it's all very up in the air, and that's the hard thing about all this. We don't know anything, and we don't know any information to kind of give us a a plan to move forward.
It is very hard to see sport and sporting events with fans at them, just the current situation that we're in, and how difficult things are, just with crowds and people and queues and any sort of social interaction, even seeing our families. So like packed out stadiums just seem like a whole world away. How would you feel if you had to play rugby with nobody there?
Yeah, if it was, I feel quite good playing the game, because that's what I love doing, and I'd love to get back playing. But with nobody there, I suppose, in terms of financially for clubs and setups like the GA, for instance, I don't know how feasible it is for clubs, provincial teams, etc., to survive, and unions to survive without the fans. They're the ones financing all these games. They're the ones going week in, week out, and it'll definitely be difficult anyway. And I know from clubs in the Premiership is that they rely on gate receipts, etc., to finance the club from month to month. So, if that wasn't the case for a period of time, I could see some clubs getting into difficulty. But if that's what they decide to do, well, so be it. Or the other thing that I was thinking about during the week was for teams that don't have a massive following and have big home grounds. Is there a possibility of spreading them out and it's just maximising it to, I don't know, a couple of thousand people in a 20,000 seater stadium, for instance? It'd be a carnage outside of it, etc., and everything, trying to keep people away from each other. But I know there's so many things now going through people's heads to try and just get back at it, but it has to be done safely, and people are a priority at the minute, and once that's happened and that's in place, then we can think about moving on.
It must be such a strange time for you. Okay, I know you were injured and you just got back, and now we've got this lengthy layoff. But when rugby is such a massive part of your life, and it's something that you're doing since you could probably walk, to have such a time now when you're not doing it, and it must be strange, just from like even a sense of purpose when it was such a big part of your life for so long.
Yeah, it is a bit strange, to be honest. It does put things into perspective too, in terms of there's positives out of this too. There's like, you've been home, you're around your family, you've reconnected with friends that you've been away from, even if it's just talking on the phone. But you know what I mean. It brings you back down to earth a little bit and gets you out of that bubble of that professional lifestyle for a while. And so it's been nice in terms of that. But do you miss the game? Of course you miss the game, and you miss the dressing room, the crack in there, and you miss the boys, and you miss playing every weekend in front of fans. So those things you miss. But it's like what I said at the start. People either kill each other during this time, in their homes, or they love each other even more. So it's nice. There's nice things to come out of this as well, and we have to kind of remind ourselves that sport isn't everything in life either. But it sure is missed, that's for sure. But there is, you know what I mean, there is more important things in life.
I'd say you miss the contact of the game as well, do you?
I do, yeah. I could do and hit a few things now soon. Yeah, that's a part I've missed, because I only had, as I said, 47 or 8 minutes, and I enjoyed the physical side of that game that night. So it'd be nice to get back doing that as well, but I can't see that happening for a while now anyway.
So you're so enthusiastic today. Is there ever days where you're like, oh, I've enough, I don't want to do this, training on my own, or training with just one other person? I can't motivate myself to do it?
Yeah, there's obviously days like that. There's no point in saying, I think everybody has that. But what would be a good example? Last Friday night, for instance, so I had a very, very long week, or Saturday was it? Very long week of work, and I trained every day last week, and I'd still one lower body session to do to finish off the week. And I came back Saturday, I think it was 9 o'clock, 8:45, I think I came back in, and I had covered a huge amount of ground. I think I covered like 22 or 3,000 steps on the farm that day, and was working hard, and I was wrecked. I just said, go out and do it. And I went out to the garage here, and I'd done the 45 or 50-minute session, whatever it was, and it was in the bank then. But like, did I want to do it? Absolutely not. Did I feel great after doing it? Yes. And that was, that's the thing about it. You just go and get it done and get it out of the way with. And some days you do that, and some days you don't enjoy training, but you feel great after it anyway. So it's just about getting the work done. And again, I'll go back to writing a few bits down for the week and saying this is going to be my week, and then you just tick it off and it's done. But yeah, there's obviously days where you don't want to train, but at the back of your mind, for me, at the back of my mind is, if it cranks back up, I want to be ahead of the posse in terms of, my fitness levels and where I am. I don't want to be playing catch up when I go back. I want to be kind of ahead of the pile if I can. How
long do you think professional rugby players would need to get back to the level where they can go and play a match safely?
Yeah, they probably need 6 weeks. 6 weeks of pitch training and conditioning, and it'll be like a mini pre-season really, because while I have some weights here, obviously you don't have enough to keep building and get heavier and heavier and stronger. So it's all kind of maintenance and a little bit of strength obviously, and seeing can you keep what you have. So in order for us to get back to a level where you're not going to get injured quickly or anything, I think you need 5 or 6 weeks, 5 or 6 good weeks of pre-season, and then rock in, and then you're going to need, it's going to be funny because you're going to need a few games to get match fit then again. So that's another thing I have in my head, is that I don't want to take 2 or 3 games to get match fit. So that's why I want to keep myself in the best place now, best shape as I can at the minute.
I'd say the beard will have to go though.
The what?
The beard will have to go.
I'm going to keep the beard, I think, now. I'm getting used to it. It's gone past the stage of being annoying and itchy, so I might hold on to it for a while.
And just finally, like in the last few weeks, is there anything that you've realised, and just from a training perspective, that's my favourite kind of training to do? And is there anything that you absolutely hate?
No, to be honest. There's nothing really I hate doing. I think when you get to your into your 30s, you get cute and you know what works for you, and I suppose the S&C staff trust you to what you, or to, I suppose, to look after your body as best that you know and that you can, and what works for you. And so I don't do anything really that'll, I suppose, stir up an old problem, or that'll be something outrageously new or anything. I kind of stick to the same kind of things, and I know it works for my body. So you kind of learn that as you go through the years, and you train a bit smarter and not harder.
Are you conscious, because you've had injuries, that you're going to get injured again, or do you forget them, a bit like physical pain?
No, of course you could get injured again. You're playing a contact sport, and you're hitting the lads that are probably 15 or 20 kilos heavier than you in the pack, and rugby's obviously lads are getting bigger and stronger and faster. So it's always a possibility. But every rugby player could be that. But I don't see myself getting injured anytime soon. Anyway, the way I'm training now at the minute, and I'm feeling really good. So can't complain.
Well, you've done a good job in painting a good picture of what kind of athlete you're going to be when you come back, Sean. I look forward to seeing you hopefully soon. Yeah, exactly. Thanks a million for joining us.
No bother, you're very welcome.
We'll let you get back to the farm.